Welcome back to the program. And so we turn our attention now to albinism, a genetically inherited condition that causes low pigmentation in the skin. And you have, them in our environment. They are our neighbors, as we told you earlier on. They are our friends. They are even our family members. So what are we doing to ensure that they're protected from light rays and also from the darkness of stigmatization and the other dangers within the society? So joining us to have this conversation this morning is Mr. Jake Epele. Mr. Jake Epele, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Bukola. Good morning, Kayode and Jeffrey. Thank you for introducing this wonderful program. I can only describe Morning Brief as a program that has one foot in Old Testament and another in the New Testament.
That's a new one. We'll take that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Pele. So for the 2024 World Albinism Day, it's interesting to note that the theme is on the progress made so far. So my question is, what are those high points, the progress that we've achieved, and how significantly have they affected people with albinism living in these parts? When I say in these parts, in Nigeria, and particularly the African continent.
Thank you, Bukola. That's a multi-dimensional question, but let me take them one after the other. What progress have we made? We've made progress in advocacy, getting to the critical stakeholders to listen to us and do something about the ideologies that we're trying to sell. We've made progress in policy and legislation. We've had, in Nigeria, the first national policy on albinism in the world. We've made progress in access to health. We've had free skin cancer treatment, which this country started, which I'm calling on the current president to reinstate. We've made progress in access to quality education, which I was part of the team that wrote the first inclusive education policy for Nigeria. We've made progress in media advocacy, media inclusion. I mean, 20 years ago, you couldn't have had a person with albinism on television, speaking to the glory of God confidently. And so we have made progress in seeing the lives of persons with albinism transformed. My organization, to the glory of God, was able to send a person with albinism to Aberdeen University, and she came back with a master's degree. She's gone back to do a second master's degree. 250 children were sent to school at the time. We were doing counterpart payment for school fees. We made progress in the political space. As you know, it's on record, provided evidence by data, that persons with albinism has the highest registration in INEC portal on political participation, and that speaks to the program that we're doing on governance. We've made progress in getting friends like Kayode and yourself and Jeffrey and John Momo, the chairman of Channel, to become serious-minded advocates for not only persons with albinism, but persons with disability. We have made progress in global attention. That's why we have a day like this yesterday to create awareness for challenges and successes of albinism cause globally. We have been able to get global attention, and that to me is a huge progress.
All right, Mr. Epele, as we binge through some of the highlights and the concerns of the day, let's look at health. The data shows that persons between 30 to 40 years are susceptible to skin cancer when it comes to people with albinism, and it leads to some level of fatality. I wonder what is being made in terms of policy direction to help reduce that number, especially within the sub-region? Looking at Nigeria as a case study from your point of view.
Look, Jeffrey, it's not, it's almost sounding like a health myth that it's only a certain category of people that can have skin cancer. Skin cancer is open to everybody with albinism, whether it's a baby or a grown-up adult. I am a skin cancer survivor. I got skin cancer when I was about 53 or 4. You know, so it is open to everybody. Skin cancer is a result of consistent exposure to sun and even fluorescent light over a period of time. And then it starts creating lesions, which is as a result of a damaged skin that becomes cancerous. It is ravaging Nigerians. Many Nigerians are dying of skin cancer. Many Africans are dying of skin cancer. Bukola did mention about what, for instance, my organization is doing in Africa. I was one of those who went to Tanzania. I took a risk. I've gone to Tanzania 3 times. The 3rd time I was able to speak with the government, you know, and South Africa, Kenya, Malawi, Egypt, Morocco, Congo, Brazzaville. We've been everywhere advocating for the region, West African region, Benin Republic, Ghana, Senegal. We have been everywhere, Gambia. Not only advocating for their for access to quality health, but human rights, because persons with albinism were being killed and murdered with the impression that they have the magic wand to make money or to give political power. Now, it happened in a very large scale in places like Tanzania, but the superstition or myth is that it doesn't happen in Nigeria. It did. It was there. It happened in Delta. It happened in Makurdi. It happened in Calabar. And there were also issues around that particular issue in Lagos. So it's also in Nigeria. The only thing is that the level of awareness that we have brought to the issue in Nigeria is very high. And like I said, it's captured in our national policy, which is exactly 11 years old. We have reviewed the national policy, and that national policy is being used in other African countries and in the UN system.
Well, Mr. Pele, you seem to have achieved like a godfather status in these sectors. And it just shows what is possible when you know, go for things, when you're driven by a purpose. And it's good to see you on this platform speaking with you to shed light on these issues. So I want to talk about how to move forward now. And I'd like to know what your game plan is, because these challenges have been there for decades. So I know that you've called, for example, for the appointment of a person living with disability as a minister. Just a few days ago, that call has come up again. Now you're more specific, it would seem. Humanitarian Affairs Minister. I think that is now the call that I saw a few days ago from that group. So how are you looking to approach this? Because they say once you have a seat on the table, then it's easier to at least help people see your side of the story, see things from your side. So is that an approach you are hoping to at least see come through so that you can further push these policies and changes that you want?
Thank you, Kayode, for your always intelligent question. Let me say that we launched Able to Serve, which is a leadership project that mirrors the character and competencies of persons with disability, making them qualified to lead. And yes, I will add my voice to asking the president to give opportunity to the most qualified persons with a disability to lead, not only Ministry of Humanitarian, we can lead in finance, we can lead in education, we can lead in technology. Anyone that is qualified that is a person with disability that have the interest of the community, young, vibrant, intelligent, and able to occupy the office and get us the expected result. People like us are not looking for that position, and I want to categorically say it because I am getting old at 63, so I know that there are some people in Bola Tinubu's government, including himself, who is older than me, but I want to give the young people a chance to lead. They are smart, they have what it takes, they have age on their side, and they are very innovative in thinking. And I'm not saying the older ones are not, but let's give the younger ones the opportunity to serve if they have the integrity, character, and competence to serve and to deliver expected results. Yes, I will continue to push to see that persons with disability are given the opportunity not just to occupy position, but to serve purpose. And I want to say that all of these achievements couldn't have been possible, Kayode. It couldn't have been possible without the contribution of organizations like yours. Every time I come on this channel and remember John Momo and how individual like that treats people like us, I am so blown away and sometimes moved to tears. But all of you have been a great family, and this day couldn't have been what it is. The achievement couldn't have been what it is. The successes and the challenges couldn't have been what it is without your contribution. I am what I am today because I have great relationships like all of you and your channel.
Thank you, Mr. Epele, for always being so profuse in your compliments, and we appreciate you as well. You've talked about the highlights of the success of policy and support for people with albinism, but what about social support? Is there any progress in that regard, particularly with some of the myths and cultural beliefs associated with people living with albinism? And are there nucleuses of conversations, groups that help to change some of those myths and help further the integration of people with albinism into the society?
Thank you, Bukola. There's a whole lot that has happened. There's a whole lot myth that we have been working hard day and night to debunk. I'll give you one of the things we did as an organization. We published 50 myths that are blatant lies, and we published it in English, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo, and distributed it across the length and breadth of this country. There is no doubt, Bukola, that these myths are abysmal lies. I'll tell you some of the myths. Oh, a person with albinism cannot eat edible salt. That's a myth, and it's a blatant lie. And anyone listening to me, if you deny your child or you are a person with albinism, you deny yourself taking edible salt, you'll be deficient. There are myths like, albinism is contagious. Albinism is not contagious. I remember a story that for the past about 13 years of the 67 years of my life, I still remember that. I was just about 13 when I had that experience. I went to an uncle's house, and my uncle's wife was pregnant. And because she was pregnant, they would not allow me to come into the house. And I cried and I asked why. They said, I don't want to give birth to a person with albinism. I mean, this is what we see every day of our lives. This is what we experience every day of our lives. They say, you are giving birth to a person with albinism because you had an affair with your spouse when the woman was under her period. And I mean, these are the things. And then, of course, the name calling. The name calling is disastrous. Don't call me Afi, I'm not. Don't call me Mbakaro Boycott. That's from Cross River. The Cross Riverians, the Akwa Iboms, they call us white goat from the bush. I mean, can you Do you expect that for a human being to carry that? They look at you and they call you unfortunate European. I mean, that is unacceptable. And they say to you, oh, you don't see. Or they compliment you by saying, oh, you see better at night than you see in the day. I mean, we are bedeviled with all kinds of stuff. I couldn't. I wanted to be, I did broadcasting, I was a presenter, you know, but I was not able to read the news. If it were to be today, with all the technology around, I would have been a very good newscaster, if you pass me for that. But that's what we go through every now and then. You get to a place where you want to get a job, they say, no, you can't get the job because they don't trust that you will see or you'll be able to do the job. You know, so we are facing these challenges. But for me, Kayode, Jeffrey, and Bukola, those challenges are actually opportunities. I am very grateful to God that He created me and made me a person with albinism. Every day I thank God for who I am. Peradventure, if I didn't have albinism, you wouldn't put me on a national television. So there is always the advantage in what they see as a disadvantage. Bukola, I want to say this, and I say it all the time. You see, the day we were born, can you imagine the day that John was born? John Momo, chairman of Channel Global. Imagine the day he was born. He was the only one crying. Everyone around him were rejoicing. Today, that man at his proper time, when he exits, he will die rejoicing and everyone around him will cry. Why? Because he has contributed a transformative idea that have changed life. That is what I'm living for. I don't live for prosperity, I live for posterity.
Quite inspiring, Mr. Pili, and you know, you can still be that great news anchor, and we'll definitely consider you.
I mean, imagine this
role.
is Jacob Pili with the headline news. That'll be lovely.
That'll be lovely. We'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Jacob Pili, for your insightful contribution on the program today. Mr. Jacob Pili is the founder of the Albino Foundation. Thank you very much for your time on the program.
Thank you. My pleasure being here.
And so we switch the gears now to a softer side of things, and you'll be meeting an amazing 10-year-old. Stay with us, we'll be right back.